Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Fair Life. I am Andrew McKee, and wow, it's been another crazy week. Yeah, it has been interesting. I just trying to get everything rounded up. Last week we had, let's see, a couple of weeks ago it was what I always call Hell Week, and that was last week was just kind of recovering from that. How it works is and 2 weekends and 3 days in the middle of the week. So a 9-day period, 7 of them you're out at Faire playing music, for student days in the middle of the week too. And it is a lot of Faire. And now I know you can say, well, you're just playing music, you should be able to do that. And there's probably truth there, but we're not used to it. That is, I'm sure I could get used to it and make that a regular part of my routine, but I haven't. So it really wipes you out. And it's not the toughest week of my year, but it's definitely the second toughest. It is a tough one. The toughest being Dragon Con in Atlanta, which is like 5 or 6 straight days of solid craziness. But yeah, hey, Kevin and Kathy and Dan and Janine, thanks for joining. It is, we're kind of going into that tail end of the year, where we only have a few more weeks of Faire, really. When you start to get into the middle of December, I mean, you sometimes have events, sometimes even held at Ren Fair sites, but are they Renaissance fairs? I'm kind of wrestling with that myself. In the list this week, I included a Yule festival at the Pennsylvania Fair, and I was kind of like, well, I don't know if I'd actually call it a Renaissance fair, but it's at a Renaissance fair site. A lot of the vendors are the same. Some of the entertainers are the same. I don't know. So I'm kind of wrestling with what that is, because I certainly wouldn't count a Dickens fair as a Renaissance festival, right? Not exactly. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, you're not wrong, Janine. Definitely doesn't leave much time for anything else. But yeah, I'm still trying to figure out where I draw the line with which event qualifies as a Renaissance fair. And it's a challenge, I will admit. I think part of it is the time period. If it seems like the time period is medieval or Renaissance, then yes. If it's fantasy, if it's in fantasy as in like stuff that you normally are used to at Ren fairs, like a fairy festival or something like that, okay. But it's tough to where to draw the line. And if you go too far out there, I mean, what are we talking about here? Because if you do Dickens festivals, and why not Wild West festivals? Because it's a similar time frame. So yeah, that's kind of where I am with it. And Jan, hey, great to see you. Yeah, it is a very relaxed Monday. I am happy to say that I think I've done a really good job with the sound out of the Louisiana Fair. For those of you that don't know, they asked me to be in charge of the sound as far as all the sound at all the stages, and to be the guy on the spot. I mean, just if anybody has a problem, come see me, and my job to fix it. So kind of a responsibility. I did it last year, but I didn't get to Fair early. So the first few weekends I was running around like crazy, just trying to familiarize myself with all the systems and making sure everybody got what they needed. It was a huge headache. This year I got to Fair early and got everything figured out, and I was familiar with all the stages, so it made it a lot easier. And I think everybody's really been happy. The entertainment director seems to be happy with what I've done, and it seems like I've helped a lot. And a lot of the different music groups have thanked me and appreciated what I've been able to do. Sometimes it's just little things, like the battery for my the battery for the pickup on my guitar went out. Do you have a spare? Because I don't. And things like that. Sometimes it's a lot more serious, where the sound's not working. What do I do? And I've managed to pretty much take care of all of those things, and sometimes going above and beyond, because I I'll take the extra time as opposed to just say, yeah, I can't fix it. We'll take care of it for next week. And I'll spend 5 or 10 minutes trying to see if I can make it work. And so far I have. It's been a process, but I think a worthwhile one. So, oh, wow, thanks. Jan's commenting on the Compass Rose, which is one of the stages, one of the newer stages. And thank you. I did that. To be fair, that setup is new this year, and the Whiskey Bay Rovers set up their sound as a group. But I did go over there and help them and tweak to make sure that the sound was optimal. Just a few little tweaks here and there. You know, it's one little tweak doesn't make any difference, really. Nobody could tell. But you do enough of those, it's a big difference. And that's what I tried to do. And I think I helped with that. The other group there, the Rovers Way, they actually bring their own sound system. So they've got it tweaked perfect for them. So I didn't touch anything with that. That's all of them. But I appreciate that. And I got a great compliment from one of the performers in the lanes, which was wonderful. They said that, they've gone to a lot of different fairs and played, and there's always some stage that bleeds over sound-wise and causes problems for busking. And so far this year, they haven't had any problems. And they credited me with that. And I thought that was a great compliment. That's really what I tried to do, to make sure that everything was good for the stage, but didn't interfere with anyone else. I spent a lot of time working on the joust to try to make sure that was not interrupting anybody else, because it's always been a problem. And last year I tried to help a little, but this year I spent a good amount of time tweaking it with some ideas I had, and it worked. And I think everybody was very happy with that, especially a couple of the stages nearby who've always complained about that as a problem when their show happened to be opposite the joust. So the speaker noise wasn't really interfering anymore. Crowd noise when they're cheering, I can't do anything about that. Sorry. I can't, not my responsibility for people being happy and yelling. That's on them. But the sound, yeah. So it's been definitely a process. So that's kind of what I've been up to. Yeah, I know it's I didn't really, I wasn't sure I was going to make it tonight to the show. I tried really hard. It was a crazy day today. I drove over, just had time to come in, throw on clothes, start everything, and go. So it's a light show tonight, and I didn't really get a chance to. I've been gone all day, so I didn't really get a chance to promote it or do a lot of invites like I normally do. So I think there's just a few of y'all watching right now, which I totally get and understand. But yeah, we will get there. For now, I guess, yeah, the only thing really. My general thoughts for the week was I was kind of surprised at how much, I guess, how much influence I've kind of had. And maybe the Faire with the audio and how helpful I was there kind of got me thinking. But I stumbled across a few things while I was working at arranging and figuring out my future CDs and projects. And finishing up a Kickstarter with my old bandmate Mark Gunn and doing that, and I realized how much of an influence some of my jokes or statements or whatever have been in actual major media outlets. It really kind of surprised me. I stumbled across an episode title of Warehouse 13 that from season 5 back in 2014. It's a television show for those of you that don't know, and they had the title of the episode was the same as one of my old band's CDs, A Faire to Remember, because they have to search for a relic at a Renaissance festival, and they go out there, and yeah, it was A Faire to Remember. And certainly it's a play on words of the classic 1950s movie An Affair to Remember. And they might have arrived at it on their own, but if they're doing research on Ren fairs to prepare for the show, which I'm sure they did, that CD would have, especially in 2014, would have been really high up on the search list. So I'm guessing that it might have been an influence. So, and yeah, I came up with the CD title, so that is kind of me. And of course, The Big Bang Theory, when they they pretty much took one of my lines verbatim for a season 4 episode. The Hot Troll Deviation is the name of the episode in 2010. It was a bit where back and forth between Raj and Sheldon, where they're talking about a desk being Brobdingnagian. In my old group, the Brobdingnagian Bards. Well, if you search Brobdingnagian online, the old website for that is one of the first things that comes up. And at the top of it is a audio clip, how to say Brobdingnagian, that I came up with years ago, many years ago, long before that episode. And they pretty much took exactly the joke I made for that and put it in the episode. I don't know. It's kind of strange to think you have that much influence on things, sometimes surprisingly so. Not quite sure what to do with that. Oh, and Janine, yeah, thanks for coming on. Yeah, I know how that works. It's this is I'm glad I made the show. I was really worried about it, but at least trying. And we don't have many fairs this week either, just a few, and the following weekend is going to be even fewer. I don't know. I mean, we'll see if I start adding more Yule fairs in there. I'm still unsure about if I should start adding those. But we might end up doing away with the list for a few weeks at the end, or taking a hiatus and during Christmas, which would probably make the most sense. Yeah, so we'll see about that. But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to check in and talk about just it's just kind of surprising how those things can affect people. And it also reminded me of the Unicorn song that, you know, it's a very popular song, words written by Shel Silverstein and made famous by the music group in the 60s, the Irish Rovers. Well, with my old band, I was really pushing to do that song for a few years. And the other bandmate, Mark Gunn, was totally against it because he said, it's too sad. I don't like the ending. So finally, I said, well, what if I change the ending? And he said, that might do it. So I went ahead and changed the ending and came up with a new ending verse for the Unicorn song. And our recording of it employed that whole banter back and forth of him being upset by the sad ending. Art imitates life. But it was now it's crazy because I'll go to different events and I'll hear people perform that song and they'll use the extra verse that I wrote and they have no idea who I am. And that's always weird and bizarre. I know I'm not saying it's the de facto version for everybody in general, but at Ren fairs it tends to be. And it's kind of flattering. It's kind of a weird feeling. I don't know. Oh, right. Well, that's what I intend to do, Janine. Just, use the influence for good instead of evil. So, but yeah, it just kind of makes you think. Now, of course, there's that desire to try to be cautious and hold on to it and not share these ideas out there, you know, copyright them or patent them or whatever. And that's a different problem because especially at Ren fairs and as performers, we borrow jokes and ideas and we do that all the time. The number of jokes or references I've thrown out from movies alone over the years, I don't even want to try to calculate. So yeah, it is a definite, I think it's only fair that I not really stress about it, but it still is flattering and surprising. I will say that. Yeah, you're not wrong. I read about that too. It's a little weird when something gets popular, and once it gets beyond you and gets adapted or changed, and you have no control over it anymore, it can rattle you a little bit. But that's the way of creating things. That always is. Yeah, that's a good way to put it, Janine. Yeah. Better to be a person who shares. And, you know, and then it's very likely that a lot of the ideas I've had that might get used or molded or changed by others, people won't remember I had anything to do with it in the grand scheme of things down the road. But that's okay, because I've certainly I love old movies, so I've certainly used a few jokes I've heard from old movies in on stage before that nobody had any idea where it came from. And I knew I could get away with it because that movie from 1935, not many people remember it or ever saw it these days. So I can, yeah. But that's, you hear a good joke, you want to retell it. So I totally understand. And I'm just rolling with it, kind of the thing. But yeah. And hey, Harvey, great to see you. Okay, well, let's go ahead and jump into the into the Faire map here. Yeah, because you'll notice not much going on. Pretty crazy, right? Just a few. And I'll go full screen real quick. Yeah, okay, here we go. And oh, okay, we've got the laser pointer, the very important laser pointer. So I did include that Yule festival, the Yuletide at the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair. And they're doing it for 3 weekends, essentially the first 3 weekends of December. But it starts on November 29th. So this Saturday is the first of the 3 weekends. And yeah, I'll be curious to read up a little bit more and see how that goes. And that's probably going to influence me as far as how many of these I start including, because how Christmassy is it? I mean, how traditional is it? Is it just a Ren Fair in Christmas time? I mean, a lot of festivals that are earlier in the year, in the spring or in the early fall, will do things like that because they've got the land, so why not use it? And I totally get that. It's starting to be more and more popular over the last decade or so for a spring fair to do some event in the fall, or a fall fair to do some event in the spring, whether it's a completely different theme, like doing a pirate festival when you're a regular Ren Fair, or to do a fall festival or a Yule festival, or just Ren Fair Part 2, the fall edition versus the spring edition. I mean, it's an interesting approach, and I'm not sure. I mean, I think in a few places it's had some success. I'm not sure if it has everywhere. So I'll be keeping an eye on that, but that seems to be a trend, something to look out for. Coming after that, we have the Sarasota Medieval Fair, and this is the last weekend of it. This is Mayaka City, Florida. I know I'm mispronouncing that. So this is the 5th weekend, and the theme is St. Nicholas Celebration Weekend. So apropos for that, getting close to Christmas. Then jumping over to the fair I'm at, the Louisiana Renaissance Festival in Hammond, Louisiana. That is the 5th out of 6 weekends, so 2 more weekends left, and the theme is Pirate Weekend. So that's always a popular one, and it's been they capped the number of people that can get tickets because of some craziness last year with parking problems. They expanded parking, capped the number, and they've been selling out weekend after weekend. So definitely get tickets early if you can online, because they are selling out quick. So good to know. And then we go over to the last weekend of the Texas Renaissance Festival, and just northwest of Houston. And it is Celtic Christmas as a theme, so something cool. Yeah, totally. So that is all we have for this weekend. Kind of, yeah. When you start getting to December, it really changes things a whole lot. Definitely, big difference. And yeah, I think I totally agree with Janine. If you have permanent structures, it makes sense to use them more or less. And see that when you have a temporary site, or you're at a county fairgrounds and it's a tent fair, so no permanent structures. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense to do it the rest of the year, but it's always been a thing the last several decades of fairs trying to figure out ways to use the land in the off season. I mean, I've seen fairs do live action role playing groups and host it for that. Fairs use the land for like off-road dirt bike trails and trying to do weird stuff like that on the fair site. I mean, really crazy stuff sometimes. Sometimes just live using the stages and treating it as a music concert venue in the off season, so that people can have music festivals there, and then just doing the sort of the off type. You know, if you're a Ren Fair, doing a winter festival or a pirate festival or a Viking festival or something that's similar but maybe a little different. So enough to kind of maybe bring some new people in. So it's a nice strategy. I just haven't seen it work very well in many places. It has worked, but I've seen it fail more often than succeed. So we'll see. Yeah. Definitely. Summer camps. And I mean, there's so many options when you can diversify. So yeah, definitely. Yeah, summer camps. That's one for Sherwood. Sherwood Forest Fair that I do in the spring. They do have a summer camp. I've even taught there, and you might remember me talking about that. Taught recorder there one time. So that is definitely interesting. The summer camps, I mean, that of course opens up a lot of potential issues, and not many fairs are going to do that because it takes a completely different setup when you're dealing with strictly with kids being out there. You have to be a very extra careful and all of that. It's they definitely at Sherwood they take security and safety very seriously. I was very impressed. So yeah, that was it is definitely a different animal. It's not just a turnkey thing where you're like, well, we did a Ren Fair, we can do this. No, it's different. It's a different setup, different people, everything. So yeah, it's a different animal, but very interesting. And Sherwood does a very good job. It's quite impressive, really. I think the only downside there is that it's in central Texas, so it's pretty hot in the summer. But other than that, it's great. Yeah, and you're not wrong. They actually did when I was there, not this year, but last year is when I taught. They had an adult camp that I taught recorder for, and it seemed like they enjoyed it. So it is different. You can do adult camps, so it is an option, and maybe that's what they should do more. I mean, Joe, just imagine going to an adult summer camp at a Ren Fair where you go through all of these different things, including wine tastings, where you come out as more of an expert with wine and the history of it and how to what the different types of wine are and how to tell them apart. I mean, really just teaching you that, and that's just one class out of there. I don't know. I mean, there's so many interesting possibilities with that. Scary, but we'll see. You never know. I mean, it is interesting to see where these fairs have gone. But yeah, I do feel like I should go ahead and give you a extra tune because I have been working on a lot of different songs and tunes, and this one is I don't think I've played this for you. I might have. I've been working on this for the past several weeks, but I finally settled on an arrangement and everything. And this is Daphne. Correct me if I've played this for you already, but I didn't think I had. So we'll give this a try. It's a Playford song, which just means it's a dance song from the 1600s, and it's one of those songs where dance tune, where there's a lot of interpretations because the sheet music, it's not like modern sheet music. The early sheet music, it's a little open to interpretation for how to read it, and it gets a little crazy with that. I've heard several different versions that all sound a little different because of that, and I follow the first one I heard, which also happens to be the one I like the most. A few of the notes are a little different than written, but it sounds so much better, and I see why they changed it. And it's very possible they played it that way back then, but people tend to forget that music isn't in a vacuum. Especially back then with oral tradition, nobody played a song the exact same way all the time. They played with stuff. It was very normal to do that. So just like it is now. So yeah, let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and remove my noise filter so that it doesn't cut out on the music, but you might hear a little more noise around me. But let's go ahead and try this. Hopefully I haven't played this for you. We'll see. So yeah, let's do that real quick. hopefully you heard that okay. I did a little flub at the beginning. Was still a little brain dead, recovering from the weekend. So sorry about that. But that's why I played it the second time, so to make sure you knew this is how it's supposed to sound. Wow. Okay. But yeah, that is called Daphne, Daphne, and it is just a lovely tune. It has lyrics to it too, believe it or not, written around the same time. I don't think they're normally sung for the dance part, but yeah, they do have lyrics with it. I first heard the classic Ren Fair performer Owen Fife perform that, and that's the version I'm pretty much playing, the same thing he does, or at least close to it. My own interpretation, of course, but most of the odd the different key notes, the accidentals in there, are the ones he used. And I've heard other people use them too, so I don't think he came up with that arrangement necessarily, but I haven't really studied the history of it too much as far as the different arrangements. That's really hard to track down. It really is. But yeah, thank you for that's good to hear. Always good. I'm definitely going to be putting that on a future CD because I really love that tune. I don't know, that's one of those where I'm tempted to have two versions of it because it's a dance tune and it has lyrics. Maybe doing one, maybe on the instrumental CD doing the instrumental version, and on the Ren Fair CD doing the vocal with lyrics version, something like that. That would, I think that might be a good idea. Of course, I could do the same thing with a few other songs that are the same way, like None Such. But the problem with that is its lyrics are a little generic and not. They're also very ultra modern. They were written in the 1960s, so not exactly right. So, but maybe Daphne, I'll do that with. Yeah. So we'll check that out. But thank you, and that. All I can say is I am going to sleep a ridiculous amount tonight, and I hope everybody's got some wonderful Thanksgiving plans or holiday plans or whichever you follow or enjoy. This is generally days off for people, where a holiday where a lot of businesses close, and hope you get to relax, enjoy, eat some good food, and recharge, because I know Christmas can be a very stressful time for some people. So hopefully you get to relax a little bit beforehand and prepare, because sometimes you need a vacation for your vacation. I know you know what I mean. So yes. Yeah, I know what you mean, Janine. It's one of those things where I'm trying to put together a CD of instrumental tunes that aren't just representative of a time period, but are the ones that I like. They're very much my taste of fun, lively, interesting tunes. So I'm probably not going to be adding stuff that's really boring, like the Maltese brawl of da 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 da. I mean, that kind of where it's very repetitive and generic. I'm probably not going to do something like that. It's going to be fun, lively tunes. So yeah, this will, if you like some of the tunes you've heard me play, you'll probably like it. That's the goal. So, and and to you as well, Tanya. Yeah. Right. Now that I'm on the road full time, and it's both freeing and a little stressful, because I have all of my recording gear with me. I have everything I could need, so I can do that. But trying to find the right time and situation, like when I stay with my parents over Christmas, probably not going to have a chance to record, because, I want them to like me. And recording takes a long time and is very loud. So probably not going to do that. But other places, I'm starting to, I guess what I'm saying is I'm starting to look at my booking schedule and figure out, this is a great time to record, this is a great time to record, this is a great time to record during the year, and get all of that figured out. So in some ways, blocking it that way and planning it in advance, as opposed to just trying to go with it when the urge strikes me. I think it's going to help, and hopefully I'll be very productive this coming up year. That's the hope anyway. But yes, to you as well, Jan, and have a wondrous time, good holidays, and I'll go ahead and call it here and be on time ending Fair Life for once. You're not wrong, because classic John Williams tunes and classical music. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm personally love everything from Modest Mussorgsky and Aaron Copland and John Williams. I mean, sure, and a lot of things in between. There's some great stuff in there. So totally understand. Nothing wrong with that. And really, for me, it's always about finding interesting tunes. I think the best tunes that survive the test of time are the ones that do things you don't expect, that are surprises, fanciful fun surprises. And that's really what makes it something special. I mean, that's true. I think it was true then. I think it's true. It was true in the 1950s and 1960s. I mean, the music that's really survived are the ones that aren't like anything else. And I think that's what works. So that's what I'm going to try to concentrate on. I'll be keeping you informed of that. I'm going to be working on a lot of things over the next couple of months. So you should get a lot of updates, a lot of tunes played on here in the future. So I noticed Chris wasn't on tonight, so she's going to be upset because she always clamors for more music. But yeah, there should be a lot of that in the future. So something to look forward to. Good night, everybody. Have a good one. And remember, it might be cold, but it's still a fair life. So enjoy. Take care. I'll see you next week.